Hello, hello, hello. Testing, testing. Hello, hello. Greetings. Hello, everyone. What's up? Happy Tuesday. Tuesdays are normally not this fun, but we're going to make it a super fun Tuesday with some CosPilates. Hello, everyone. All right, so we're doing something a little different today. So obviously this is CosPilates. Yeah, it's CosPilates. We're cosplaying and we're doing Pilates, but we're also going to be doing some more stuff. So for the first part of this stream, I am actually also streaming on Instagram at the Laser Girls. So hello everyone joining on Instagram. Wanted to, since I perform under the Laser Girls, I thought it would be fitting to feature this, a little bit of this stream in our Instagram live for the Laser Girls Instagram. So hello to everyone there, and hello to everyone on Twitch and YouTube. We are everywhere tonight. We are keeping it busy tonight. So what are we doing today? So what I do here on this channel is we do Pilates, but we also do CosPilates. So CosPilates are classes where I dress up as a character, and we do a Pilates class inspired by that character or franchise. We have done a lot of different things here. We've done Final Fantasy, lots of Final Fantasy, because it's my favorite thing ever. We've done the beach episode of anime. So I did a class solely based on the anime beach episodes. So we do all kinds of stuff here. So the sky's the limit. I'm trying to get some more caffeine in me. So if I sound a little like, that's what's happening. I need a little more caffeine. My commute home was crazy. But yes, so today is CosPilates. We will be doing some Pilates. We will be cosplaying. But it's going to be a little different in that this is going to be part demo, part fitness class. So the reason why we're doing Wii Fit Trainer is because I recently competed in Anime Boston as the Wii Fit Trainer and did a performance at the masquerade. So I did a dancer-size, what I call a dancer-size performance as Wii Fit Trainer, and to my surprise, I won an award. I won first place in the intermediate category. It was a shock. I was very surprised to win. Very, very happy that people enjoyed it and the audience was really into it. And honestly, that's really all I can ask for with performing. Performing something that I love to do. I have zero sense of competition. I just love to perform and create and share. And it's always very flattering to be recognized. So thank you to the judges for thinking of me. It was a very cool night. It was really fun, and I'm looking forward to doing more. I'm pretty new to the competition circuit at conventions. This is only my third time performing, period. They've all been within the past year, but that's been a really awesome way to express my creativity. I have been doing, because I've been in grad school, I've been doing less making cosplay, and I've just been really into performing recently. I always love to perform, but choreographing and developing performances is just something that I've been really putting more of my passion into over the past year or so, and it's really great to be able to get up in front of people and perform. I'm not a professional dancer or anything, so any opportunity I get to perform is a blessing. It's an amazing opportunity, and I feel very lucky to be able to do it. So yeah, that's me being really corny. But what are we gonna do? Yeah, so Wii Fit Trainer, you performed, you did this thing as Wii Fit Trainer. We are actually gonna walk through my Wii Fit Trainer performance choreography in the form of a fitness class. So we can do that because the choreography is exercises. So it's going to be a little different than what I normally do on the channel, but it's going to be a fun little mix-up. And then on top of that, we're going to learn some dancer-size choreography, and we're going to learn, good technique, of course, and talk about that and modifications and all that good stuff. But we're also going to do some trivia. So I have 4 trivia questions that are going to be scattered throughout this stream that you'll get to answer for fun. There's no prizes. It's just for fun. I'm sorry. I wish I could stick my hand through and give you all prizes for participating, but unfortunately I can't. So I hope you enjoy that. It'll be a fun little audience participation thing. And audience participation in general is highly encouraged on all of my streams. Please do not hesitate to ask me questions. Let's talk about technique. Let's talk about movement. Let's talk about exercises. Let's talk about cosplay competitions. Let's talk about cosplaying. So it's going to be a pretty casual, part demo, part class that I hope you would like to participate in. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm seeing a lot of viewers tuning in. Cool. Nice to see you. So before I get started, if you plan on doing any of these exercises with me, there are a couple of disclaimers. Number 1, challenging ourselves and finding our edge is one thing. Pain is something we never want. And fighting through pain is something that we should never do, period. Whether that's in a fitness class or you're taking something out of your closet and you're really trying to force the thing out and it hurts your shoulder. Don't do that. We don't want to fight through pain. So if at any point you experience pain, take a pause and take a modification that I will provide or discuss, or take a pause and join us in the next exercise. Everything that I do on this channel is, unless I say otherwise, is open level. So that means if this is your first time working out this week or third time working out this week, this is for you. Whether you're a beginner or advanced, this is for you. So with all that, I'm going to take a big sip of coffee and let's get started. I hope my sound's okay. Please let me know otherwise. My microphones have been pretty finicky recently. And I'm on my own cast and crew today, so it's a little hard to know. So let me know. Send me an emoji. Send me a Warrior 2. I still remember when Wii Fit Trainer was announced as a Smash Brother character. And it was one of my favorite things ever that year. It was so much fun. I loved that she fought with exercises. I loved that she Warrior 2's her way to victory. It was my favorite thing ever. And as a Pilates teacher, I feel a lot of kinship with my Wii Fit Trainer. So I've portrayed her a couple times. I've worn this shirt to teach my actual clients. I hope they think it's fun. So I love dressing up as Wii Fit Trainer. So performing this number was a fun culmination of my love for this character. So how we started this number. So the first part of the number was actually choreography that I learned off of a video, the iconic memeable video footage from the 1986 National Aerobics Championship. Key and Peele did a really funny spoof of it if you're not familiar with it. If you're not, it's easy to YouTube. It's basically back in the day, back in the 80s and even into the 90s, here in America, we had aerobics competitions. So aerobics instructors would come and convene from across the country, and they would compete in choreographed aerobics numbers. And if it sounds insane, it is. I highly recommend watching some of the full competitions on YouTube. I've watched a few of them preparing for this performance and just in general because I think it's really interesting. You know, the hair, the makeup, the outfits. They're sponsored by Crystal Light. It's hilarious. They're so campy and fun. I can't recommend it more. There's a lot of stuff in there as a Pilates teacher, knowing kind of the history of Pilates and fitness trends that's really interesting to me as well, watching that footage. But nonetheless, I took a couple of my favorite sections from the intro performance that all of the competitors partake in and learned some of their choreography. So we're not going to go through all of that choreography. I did want to identify certain points in that choreography that are fun little coordination challenges that are fun to give a try in your own body. So the first move that I do, period, scoot on back, it's a trio of women and they're running in place and they're doing this with their arms. They're doing this crazy T coordination movement with their arms. Now, if this looks wild, it's wild, but it's actually something that I have done for many, many years, that arm pattern. It's something that I learned in a jazz class in high school back in the day. And I love to teach it to people because it's kind of a fun party trick to have in your arsenal, or when in doubt, you don't know what to do on the dance floor. This always looks pretty impressive. Or you're going to confuse people. You're going to wow them, wonder and awe. So I like to always demo this arm movement to people because it's just fun to do. And you can pull it out at a party. So here's how you start. So basically, it looks more complicated than it actually is. And there's a couple of ways you can break it down. You essentially have one arm that's just punching up and down, lifting and lowering. We're not going to worry too much about this arm because this is pretty easy. Something though to think about technique-wise, because I'm a geeky Pilates instructor, is when you lift and lower your arm, you don't want to throw your shoulder up towards your ears. We don't want to shrug the shoulder towards the ears. We want to keep the shoulders down, collarbones wide. So when I lift my arm into this position, I feel this opposition of my fingertips reaching long to the ceiling and the tip of my shoulder blade drawing down towards the floor, essentially, if I'm standing. So there's that sense of pull, that sense of opposition that keeps the space between my shoulders and ears. So when I lift and lower, the movement comes more from my back, moving from my back and my scapula, or my shoulder blade. Another word for shoulder blade is scapula, and less from the top of the arm. And that's actually a Pilates principle, a Pilates thing that I talk about a lot with my clients is you want to think about your arms as part of your back because they are part of your back. They don't exist in this floating space-time continuum. So you want to think about moving your arms from the back and not from the top of the shoulder. The shoulder is a ball and socket joint, just like our hips. It's one of the more complex joints on the human body. There's a lot going on in our shoulder. It has a lot of different planes of motion. It can do internal, external rotation. It does circumduction. It does depression and retraction. It does so many different things. And we have muscles, ligaments. We have like jelly sacks, the labrium in there, like a jelly sack that, softens the ball and socket joint. We have so much going on in our shoulder that we want to make sure that we're strengthening it and taking care of it in its proper position. So that's all to say, up and down, it might look easy, but there's always a lot of things to think about from a physiological perspective here. And that's something I like to share on here because I am an instructor and I like to share it. I think it's pretty cool. Our bodies are pretty cool. So one arm's going up and down, and then the other arm just does same thing up and down. We just add an extra step. So we're not going to worry too much about this guy. We're going to worry about this guy over here doing this. So essentially, it's a 3-point. Up, side, down, side. Start up, come out to the side, come down, and then back to the side. And that's really it. Doesn't seem like much, but then you put it together and then you end up all tangled up. So a couple of ways that you can learn this, and there's a lot of different ways that people learn, so I'm gonna give you a couple of options. You can start by just practicing this, right? The 3 points. Up, down, side, down. You can even say it in your brain or say it out loud, up, side, down, side. You can also think about, and then slowly add this arm in, up, side, down, side, up, side, down, side. You can also think about it in terms of pictures. And this was something that was really effective for me personally. So I would think about each moment, so kind of like a flip book in animation where you have each page has a different moment in the animation. So the way that I learned this and then practiced it was I thought about these pictures and then slowly picked up the pace and put that flip book together and started to flip the pages faster to finally get my movement. So that's another way you can think about it. You can think about both arms start up, right? And then this picture where we have the like downward L shape. So we start up, both arms, punching to the ceiling. Little L, half a T. You can even, a shelf, a tree branch. Bring it in down. So this is your third picture, and then your fourth picture. So just 4 pictures to remember, and you just have to remember them in the right order. Picture 1, picture 2, picture 3, and picture 4. And then you repeat. Picture 1, picture 2, picture 3, picture 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You pick up the pace and then you're going fast. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a way that you can think about it. So you can think about it as pictures. You can assign a song to each picture. Only focus on one arm at a time. So there's a couple of different ways to learn it. I mess it up all the time. And I tend to mess it up when I think about it too much. There's also a balance here with movement in general, where there's a mindfulness element. You want to be thinking about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and cueing your own body and checking in to make sure that your hips are square, your shoulders aren't shrugging, et cetera, et cetera. But then there's also a mindfulness element where you find the spaces where you can kind of let go and just let your body do what it knows how to do. Our bodies are very intelligent. They know what they're doing. We don't give them enough credit. This is one of those moments. I find the less that I think about what I'm doing, the more easily that I do it. And certain movements work that way for me. I've kind of found moments, whether I'm in a dance class, or I'm at the gym, or I'm in a cardio class, or whatever, or I'm in a Pilates class. There are moments where when I start to get bogged down thinking about what I'm doing, then I end up not doing it. So sometimes in moments like that, especially with coordination things, if I just kind of let go control a little bit and let my body just do it, it will do it. So there's a couple of interesting lessons and takeaways just from that. So something to think about. So that's how my number starts, is running in place, doing our arm movement here. And it's a strong move to start on, because if I mess it up right out of the gate, then I would look a little silly. But there's a lot of things to kind of think about in what seems like a really silly movement. So I hope you have learned a new party trick from that. That was the big thing that I wanted to pull from that first section. The rest of it is pretty straightforward. It kind of looks like a jazz number. It's not very difficult. It wasn't very difficult to learn. It's the speed of it that was really hard. And that seems to be the general kind of look and feel of aerobics, right? It's not really, the movements are pretty simplistic. It's the range of motion and the speed that makes them look more impressive, and the performative element as well. There's a huge difference just in, being able to perform a movement, how it changes it. If you don't have facial expressions, if you don't put, a certain attitude into it. So aerobics is very fun. Like I said, it's pretty simple movements. It's a really cool way to, if you're looking to kind of work on your performance quality, taking classes like that can actually be really helpful because the movements are simple, but it's all about how you sell them. So taking kind of your brain power away from, I gotta memorize all this crazy choreography, and putting yourself more into a character and being able to have the freedom to do that and practice that will also help your performances as well. It's something that I have to practice a lot. I have very resting, intense face. I have really thick eyebrows. They cast a shadow over my face. I look like an evil villain. So I had to practice smiling and kind of finding different ways to soften my face because it can get a little intense, which I love. I love that I look scary and intense sometimes, but for this type of performance, I needed to kind of have a little bit of a different vibe. So that was something that I had to practice as part of this. All right. So actually, before we jump right in, why don't we do our first trivia question? Yeah, I said there's trivia. Pop quiz. So, like I said, I wish I had prizes. Oh, this is mirrored. There we go. I wish I had prizes, but I unfortunately don't. But we can give this a go. So, pop quiz. What year did the Wii Fit Trainer character debut in Smash Brothers? 2011, 2009, if I'm reading that correctly, yep, or 2013. What is it? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Let me know on Instagram. Take a moment for you to think about it. 2009, what a year. It's a great time for pop punk. My favorite. I still remember that. I watched that Nintendo announcement that year, and that was really cool. I imagine that any Smash Brother announcement will not compare to when Sora was announced for Smash. Just the just the overwhelming reaction to that. I don't think any other character will top it. What character could top Sora in Smash Brothers? I would personally love it if they put Lightning from Final Fantasy XIII in there, but that's a bias because she's my favorite. And they already have Cloud, so they're probably not going to put Lightning. But, I'm the Lightning girly. I'm the ultimate Lightning fan. All right, well, the correct answer is 2013. So, she's one of the more recent characters. But we love her all the same. Let me see if I'm clicking the right button. There we go. I have my Stream Deck here. All right, let's get started. So, we learned our little arm coordination thing. I don't know if there's actually a name for it. We never got taught it. That arm movement was taught to me as a warm-up in jazz class, and they never told me if it had a name. So, if anyone knows if it has a name, let me know. Alrighty. So, we have a mat. I'm going to use the mat for this. When I performed, there was no mat. I did have knee pads on under my leggings, just in case. Luckily, the stage was pretty soft, and I didn't need a lot of cushion, which is good for me, because my knees are pretty bad. So I was a little worried about that, but all good. So the way that we started this number, we being me and Wii Fit Trainer, is we start with a classical Pilates move. So I start with my heels together, toes apart in my Pilates stance. I bring my hands into classic Wii Fit Trainer position, folded in front of my sternum. And then from here, I just bend my knees and slide my spine down an imaginary wall until I come all the way down, just before my booty touches my heels. So I have my quads engaged here, so I'm not just sitting on my heels. When I do that, I kind of have the tendency to lose that long spine. So I want to stay a little lifted off of my booty. This is a classic, more advanced mat warm-up that we do in classical Pilates mat. You'll see this is kind of standing footwork. So if you're familiar with the reformer, where we do Pilates stance, arches, and heels, we also can do this standing. We wouldn't do in Pilates, we wouldn't have this arm position. We would stack the forearms one on top of the other like so, or bring the hands behind the head. And then you would lower and lift like so. The challenge with this is keeping your spine nice and long. You might feel the tendency, because it's part balance, part core stability, as you lower, you might find the tendency to, find more of a diagonal spine to maintain your balance. The goal with this, and the goal with this in the Pilates way, is to stay nice and lifted through your back. So imagining that there is a wall behind you and you're sliding your spine down. So you see how my spine doesn't shift forward or back, and it stays nice and long and lifted. All the while my heels stay glued together. Lower and lift. It's actually a little harder on the mat because it's squishy. So it gives you a little bit of a stability challenge. So for my performance, I did that move, but just changed it up to make it more Wii Fit inspired. So hands in front of the chest, heels together, toes apart, lift the heels, and I performed this to Nicki Minaj's FTCU. So this was the part when she says high heels. So that's how I lowered down. I went high heels and came all the way down. Knees over toes, so I don't have any excessive turnout here. From here, I bring my hands in between my legs. All 10 fingers splayed. I want to focus the weight more in between the thumb and the pointer finger so that my arm is in proper rotation. From here, high heels on my tippies, shoot back into a plank. Now this requires a lot of core stability to do this. You want to shift your weight forward so that your shoulders are over your wrists or close enough, and then you want to press the floor away. We don't want to sink the shoulders, right? So I'm thinking of pressing the floor away. This press of the floor gives me a little extra lift and a little extra space to send my legs back into my plank. So I did it the Pilates way and have my heels together, toes apart in my plank. What I did for the performance was I did a more traditional plank with my feet more in line with my hips. And that was because I wanted to make sure that I didn't wipe out or lose my balance. From this plank position, I drop into an upward facing dog. Traditionally, upward facing dog, you have the tops of the feet long on the mat, but because I needed to get up pretty quickly, I kept my toes tucked on the mat. From here, you want to think about your upward facing dog, less about creating a U shape in your back, and more of a chest reach. So there's a difference between kind of hanging out in the lower back and then engaging your glutes and reaching your chest through your shoulders. That requires a little bit more core to fire on to help with that engagement. But when you do that, you take a little bit of the load out of your lower back. We never want to throw weight into our lower back. Our lumbar spine does a lot for us. It's got cushion, but we can all treat our lumbar spine a little nicer. And we also want to make sure it's doing the job it's supposed to do and not the job of another muscle. So to get out of this upward dog position, we snap up back into our plank. So we roll the shoulders open, come through, and then snap back up into our plank. So what do we have from here? Starting at the top of your mat. Hands come in front of you. Lift the heels as you lower down, keeping the spine nice and long. Hands come down, shoot your legs out into a plank. Lower down, find your upward facing dog through your arms, snap up into your plank. Now from here, we do 4 mountain climbers. You bend the right leg in and switch, and switch, and switch. Mountain climbers are one of my least favorite exercises. They burn my shoulders to high heaven, which is probably why I need to do them more, because they're really good for my shoulders. But they're also a really good exercise in thinking about how to create space in your center to move your legs. Thinking about the core moving the legs. If that sounds conceptual, it is a little conceptual and a little weird, because you're probably thinking, Sarah, my legs just move on their own. And they can, but they can get a little more range of motion with the engagement of the powerhouse, aka our core. So mountain climbers are a great example of this. So thinking about thigh to chest here. So I want to think about the more I draw my waist back and engage my center, the more room I have to bring this leg up higher. And same thing here. The more I lift my abs and engage my center, the more room I have to bring this leg closer up into my chest. And with mountain climbers, you want to think less about knee to arm. So that might be the tendency to go knee to arm. And this is a variation of that. But for this one in particular, and since I'm a Pilates person, I'm going to promote a slightly different variation. And that's going to be thigh to chest. How close can the thigh come to your chest? Because that's where the deep core work comes. So luckily we only do 4 of those. And then we do our 4 mountain climbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pop up into a down dog. And then because we're dancing and performing, we would do a little twerk. I'm not getting the twerk tonight. There we go. So I would pop up into a down dog, and then I did a little twerk. And then how do we get out of that down dog? It's a lot of shoulders, right? You probably want to get out of this position. We pop into our down dog. And then from here, we do a burpee. I know, I don't know what I was thinking. So a burpee can look a lot of different ways. I'll walk through each level of burpee. Burpee level 1. You'll take a step in. You'll bring your feet outside of your hands. So one foot comes in, the other foot comes in. Now you're in a squat position. You lift up to the ceiling, bring your arms overhead, and then lower back down into your squat, trying to keep that lift in your core and that long back. Bringing the hands back down, and then you shoot your legs back. And then you repeat. You walk your legs in, you lift up, and then come back to a plank. Level 1. That's already a lot of cardio, but it gets harder from there. The level 1 is already hard. From there, you can add a little balance or a jump. So the legs can come in. From here, lift right up onto the toes. It's hard on the squishy mat. So you can come in, come up on the toes, or bring your legs in, come up into a jump. Bring your hands down, step back. So the feet walk in, you lift up and find a balance, walk back out, or you can bring the feet in, find a little jump with the arms in the air, lower back down, and take it out. Final level of burpee can look a couple of different ways. So from there, once you get used to bringing one foot in at a time, you then hop both feet in, which is what I did in my performance. So the variation of burpee that I did, because I also didn't want to burn out like 4 moves into my dance number, that was the other thing, was that I was up here in my down dog. I took both legs, pressing the floor away with my hands, hopped my legs forward, and then jump, and then lower back down, and then hop back. So that was the version I did. Both legs jump in and jump, lower down, shoot the legs back. From there, it can get even harder. You can bring the legs in, jump, shoot it back out, push up. Because why not make it more absurd? So this is all to say that there's a lot of different types of burpees. But I did the one without the push-up because I wanted to use a push-up elsewhere in the choreography. So I was like, I don't want to die. I don't want to burst into a pool of sweat right at the start of the performance. So we landed on that middle burpee. But there's a lot of ways to do burpees. Burpees are a great exercise. There's a lot of different ways to modify based on how you're feeling, what you want to challenge. So if you want to go for that higher speed, high intensity energy, you can really add that plyo element with the jump and repeated jumping. If you want to focus more on stability in your planks or your core stability, you can take them a little slower and have one foot come in after the other. You got a lot of different options, and that's what's pretty cool about it. Fun fact, I feel like Le Sserafim, the K-pop group, really brought back burpees as a kind of a more mainstream thing, because that's supposedly part of their workout that they do. Supposedly they do 100 burpees as part of like their 30-minute workout. I've never done 100 burpees in my life. That would be, I feel like I would look like All Might if I was able to do that. So if they can do 100 burpees, that's very impressive. And I wish I had that much stamina. But I feel like they kind of brought back doing burpees in like a different type of way. Anyway, let's move on. So that's part one. We start at the top, cut my head off on the Twitch stream, that's okay. Lower down with control into like our Pilates Grand Plie. Hands come down, legs shoot back, kind of burpee inspired. Lower down into your swan. Snap back up into your plank. 1, 2, 3. I meant 3, not 4. Pop up into your down dog. Burpee. And that's what we've got so far. Good for you. I'm going to give it a try one of these days, trying to do 100 burpees. I have to figure out how many reps I'm going to do. I got to plan it out before. I'm not going to just like slam on the gas and go for 100 right out of the gate. That might make my heart explode. So I bet it feels awesome to get through them. So one of these days, I'll keep you all posted. Maybe I'll stream myself doing 100 burpees and see how it goes. I should probably do it before it gets too warm, because when it's summertime, it feels like death. I should play like Disturbed or like some really, or Baby Metal, or like some really high energy, intense music when I do it. All right. So first part done. We're off the floor. That's your first victory as part of this dance exercise performance, is getting off the floor and not wiping out. So we've just come out of our burpee. From here, so my squat position, my history with squats is complicated. I have a lot of weird internal, external rotation issues with my legs that I'm not going to go into for you. But for me, a squat is a little more turned out than what you might be taught. So for me, I have to have a little bit of a 2 to 3 degree rotation to make sure that my knees track over my toes and that I'm working the right external rotators to make sure that I'm wrapping my thighs from the right spot. My dorsiflexion is also terrible, but that's for another stream. So for me, a squat looks like shoulder width distance apart, about a 2 to 3 degree rotation away from parallel, because parallel is not good for me. I've got some tibial torsion there. So I have a slight turnout, and then I took more of like a goblet squat style for this choreography. I like this for squats. I tend to do this version for squats because I My focus mostly for my squats is the internal external rotation of my legs. I have to really be mindful of the mechanics of my legs. So I try to take my arms out of it because I just don't want to think about too many things at once. So for my performance, I came out of the burpee, bring my hands down. This time, instead of like this, make a fist with one hand, cup it with the other, and then I did some squat pulses. So squats we know and kind of love maybe. Zach loves squats, Final Fantasy VII, anyone? So I did 2 squat pulses. Something to think about with squat pulses. I feel like it's easy to throw them away, right? We can kind of just bounce up and down and kind of let momentum take us. And at the end of the day, we're just throwing our weight around and we're not really working any muscles or really doing anything. We're just flopping around, which is all in great fun. But if we want to do work, we have to make sure we're doing it with the right technique. So having that slight external rotation for me. If you can work parallel, more power to you. I wish I had a perfect parallel position, but you know, everyone's got their thing. When you sit back into your squat, there's always that cue of, you know, make sure that you're sitting into a chair so that you're drawing yourself back a little bit. Something that is really important is your feet. So we all have shoes that maybe squish our toes together. In a squat, you want to think of splaying the toes. This is going to give you a little more security in the ground, and it's also going to allow you to access that internal-external rotation a little more, because the mechanics of your foot directly affect everything else up the chain. So we want to make sure that we have a strong tripod of the foot and that we're accessing all of that space within our toes to use the ground to help us. So in our pulses, you want to think of sitting back, but also lifting your core. We don't want to be here. We want to think lifted, kind of like what we did at the beginning. That lift is going to challenge your core and your upper back to stay nice and stable. And then you get a little bit more isolation here. When this isn't moving and this is the only thing that's moving and working, you're going to feel a lot more intensity there. So I did 2 of those squat pulses. Come out of the burpee, 1, 2. Now from here, we do my other least favorite things, curtsy lunges. I do a lot of exercises in this performance that I don't like, but you still have to do them even if you don't like them, because they're good for me. And normally the things that I don't like are the things that I need the most. So one of those things is curtsy lunges. So after we do our little squat here, I take my upstage leg, which is the leg that's further away from the crowd. I turn front and I do a curtsy lunge. So trying to keep your hips square, you bring that leg behind and you take a little curtsy lunge. From here, I go right into a more classic lunge. So I would shift here, curtsy lunge, and then here. And then from this lunge position, stretch out, find a warrior 2, because we are cosplaying as Wii Fit Trainer. We have to do warrior 2. So that's our choreography. So we do our squat pulses, and then we turn, curtsy lunge, standard lunge, warrior 2. That series takes a lot of balance, and that same thing about feeling that lift in your core. The whole time I'm trying to keep my upper body stable and unmoving. Once I lose that connection to my center, the whole movement pattern starts to weaken and it kind of falls apart from there, kind of knocks down that first domino and it takes it. And this is obviously, I'm a Pilates teacher. This is something that I'm always being mindful of, but it really does affect any other exercise that you do. Stability is really the first place that you start with a lot of movement practices. If you've ever watched a Squat University video, I highly recommend Squat University. He's awesome. I have some of his books that I'm currently reading through. I think he does incredible work. He talks a lot about core stability. And as a Pilates teacher, it's really cool to see because I'm always thinking about core stability. So even if you're lifting things overhead, you're doing squats, you're doing lunges, you're dancing, it all kind of comes back to stability at the end of the day. At least that's how I feel. So in those lunges, I'm trying to stay nice and lifted and nice and stable because it's real easy to kind of fall over. I'm also using my foot. So I talked a little bit about this with the squat, but it's the same thing with lunges. So what we don't want to do is kind of squish our toes together because we lose a lot of access to our foot when we don't use our foot. So if you're able to kind of splay your toes and get that nice big surface area of the toes, you're also able to access the tripod of your foot a little more. The tripod of your foot is right in between your first and second toe, in between your pinky toe and your ring toe, and at the middle of your ankle. Right under your heel, excuse me, right under your heel. There's the coffee kicking in. If you can find a pretty good even distribution within that tripod of the foot, really splay the toes and find a little lift in the arch, the foot starts to function how it's supposed to function, and then we're able to use our foot to its full potential. So that's a lot to think about, obviously, but that's why you practice, and that's why you try things and you test it out. So yeah, that's where we end that section. Squat pulses, curtsy lunge, regular lunge, warrior two. Now from here we get a little more traditional Wii Fit trainer, in my opinion. I'm backing away because I set up my camera wrong and I'm regretting it. But from here, leg is long in warrior two, we turn into a long lunge here. So in this position, ideally, your knee is over your ankle and this back leg is straight and your hips are square to the front. So it's easy to kind of let that hip kind of travel away from that square position. You want to square your hips off, and I like to bring my hands to my hips to do this. And then from here, if you want to get a little bit more stretch and length in this long leg, squeeze the glute of the long leg. It's going to bring your hip more into extension, and you're going to feel more of a stretch through the front of the hip and the quad. And then from here, we hang out, we do some humorous pulses. Now from here, we're going full yoga. We go straight into airplane. At least I know it is airplane. So I press off this back leg, keep it long, lift up into an airplane, turn front, squishy mat, into tree, and then lower down into a side bend. So opposition is really important here for this, and using your foot. So I've got my toes splayed nice and big across. I'm gripping the floor with my toes. From here, my arms are up here. That same feeling of opposition that we talked about in the beginning. Even as I come forward, I am lengthening my leg behind me. It's like someone's got my ankle and they're pulling me backwards. And when you think about it, this kind of looks like a plank. So you want to think of those squared hips, press the floor away with your foot, and lift your front body towards your back body. Then from here, you snap up. Easier said than done. This was something I had to practice a lot. Into your tree pose. Classic yoga tree pose. Tree pose can look a couple of different ways. I do a pretty standard tree pose because I don't want to make it too complicated because I'm dancing and I have to move through it. But warrior airplane, into tree. If you're doing tree for yoga, you can challenge yourself by bringing that leg higher up. So I'm basically as high as I can go and finding a balance. If you want tree to be even more of a balance challenge, you can close your eyes. This really challenges the connection to your center line and thinking about how you're hugging that imaginary and magnetic pole through your body. But we're not doing that. And I wasn't hanging out in tree pose long enough to have to hold it and think about all those things. My goal in my choreography, sharp, keep it sharp, keep it sharp. Because in my rehearsals, I would record my rehearsals. this would get really muddy because it was, ugh. It didn't really look like anything when I was first practicing it. So for me, I really wanted to highlight the sharpness of it, which I think also is reflective of the Wii Fit Trainer character, because all of her movements are very sharp and intense. So we go from airplane, we jump, we launch off of our back foot, airplane, tree, into our side bend. Can be called a side bend. In Pilates, we call it a mermaid. Either way, arm is long, bicep frames your ears, your hips are square to the front, and you want to think about creating space between your ribs and your hips. So a nice long line here. And that ends the second half. That's basically halfway through the choreography. So we're going to do another round of quiz. So let's pull up that second question. All right. So I'm going to do a Wii Fit Trainer pose, and you have to guess what the pose is actually called. So all of the moves that Wii Fit Trainer does, they're not made up, they have names. So what is the name of this position? There we go. What do you call this? We'll see how long I can hold it. One of those three. So it's either, for my Instagram people, it's either dancer, leg pike, or what did I write? Oh my gosh. Skater pose. Couldn't even remember what I wrote. Skater pose, dancer, or leg pike. What is this? I think that's the pose. This is kind of a hint, but it's the oh my gosh. It's her amiibo pose. The little amiibo. Remember those back in the day? This was the pose that they gave Wii Fit Trainer to do for hers. I'm in the market for a Wii Fit Trainer amiibo for a good price, so let me know. Well, the answer is dancer pose. So in yoga, it's a yoga move. It's called dancer. It does kind of look like leg pike and maybe ice skating a little bit, where the skaters put their legs in the air, but it's called dancer. It's a really fun balance pose. It makes you feel really fabulous. I really enjoy doing dancer. It makes me feel really cool, and I get to personify being a cool dancer for once. So with that, we're going to head to the second half of our stream here, and I am going to log out of Instagram, and we're solely going to be on Twitch and YouTube. So if you'd like to continue watching, Instagram people, you can find me on Twitch or YouTube at MoveWSarah, MoveWSarah. All right, Instagram people, I'll see you soon. Bye. All right. Twitch people, YouTube people, it's time for the second half. So we've ended with our side bend. This second half was harder for me to choreograph because I don't know why. The first part really just came to me pretty effortlessly, and so it felt really good. This I had to kind of work out of myself a little more, no pun intended. So it got a little in the weeds, especially near the end. I felt like I was running out of ideas, but it all came together really nicely. So just remember kind of having to work a little harder to realize the second half of this choreography. It's nice when things just come to you and they work, but it's also kind of a rare moment as well. All right, so dun dun dun. So we finished our side bend, and then I did a little move, little fun attitude move that sets me up like so. So we don't go straight into the next move from here. I kind of set myself up for success with a little hip smack or whatever this is. I don't know. It just felt right to do, so I did it. Now from here, we go into kind of a whirlwind runner's lunge. That was how I described it. So I jump into this position. I take my upstage leg, which is the leg facing away from the audience, comes forward. As I do that, I'm spiraling my arms through the ceiling, coming all the way down into a lunge like so. So I've got my left leg in front, right arm on the floor. So I'm in a little bit of a twist here. So I'm thinking about this twist coming from my rib cage and my waist and not from my hips. That's going to be important. Now from here, I lift up into a revolved triangle in yoga. So in yoga, a normal triangle would be like so, where your hips are square and you're kind of sandwiched between two panes of glass. Your revolved triangle, you're twisted. You add a twist to that. So this is kind of a modified revolved triangle. So I'm in this twist. I lift up, smacked my booty because I was trying to be funny, and lift up and lower down. I made sure, and this is good to do in lunges in general, you don't want to hang out in the ligaments. You don't want to just like sink into your joints too much. You know, you want to feel like you have a little bit of bounce out of things. Obviously, we can hang out and hold stretches for longer periods of time. That wouldn't have worked out for this dance number. So we hang out and do this. Now this is where it gets kind of spicy. And of course, I had to throw in side planks because side planks are my favorite things. I love doing side body exercises and twisting. So I needed to pay homage to that by adding in some side planks. So from here, from my kind of lunge position here, I take this front leg, bring it into a side plank, come through to a full plank, and then twist to the other side plank. You notice that I have my legs offset. This is for easier mobility to come around into each side plank. Obviously, you can also do a side plank with stacking your feet, but for this performance, it was going to be easier for me to move if I offset the feet. And I'm going to add my mat here, and I'm going to change the orientation of this so you can see it better. Coming from here to here, easier said than done, right? It's a big move, and I did it pretty fast. So this was one I had to practice a lot too. I had a lot of big failures on this one. But that's okay. That's why you practice. So thinking about what we talked about with plank the first time, the main thing that I'm thinking about in this transition from here to here is pressing the floor away with my arm. The more I feel like I'm pushing the floor away and the lighter that I feel off of the mat, the more space and mobility I get with the rest of my body. So you want to create space to move into. And so for me, that's really where my main focus was with getting out of that lunge into the plank. How much space can I create away from the mat so I can more smoothly move my leg behind me? So to do that, I have my hands splayed pretty wide. I'm pressing more in between the thumb and the pointer finger so that my arm is in a better rotation. I'm hyperextended, so that arm alignment is really important for me. And I'm really pressing the floor away. I'm pushing it away. I feel a lot of, it's almost like I'm standing and I'm pushing against a wall. That's what it feels like. And I'm pushing. I'm resisting the urge to fall to the ground. That big push, I get that extra lift, and I'm thinking core, thigh to chest, right, to come around. Kind of wiped out there because I'm going in slow motion, but thigh to chest, and then I'm keep pushing away. So the more space I could create, the better. And then from there, with the legs offset, it was easy to kind of do a little plank spin. As long as my arms were in the right spot. So that's where the practice came in. I had to kind of play with how I needed to position myself to make sure that I could flow through it and make it look easy. Because at the end of the day, the best performers make the most complicated things look easy. And that's something that I've learned a lot from taking dance classes for as long as I have been. You want to have that confidence and that performative nature, and just like really be feeling it and make it look easy, make it look like it's in you, like you're having fun. It's not as convincing when you can see the thinking happening, right? So you want to practice it enough and perform it even more so that it looks easy and fun and you feel like it looks easy and fun. Sometimes I mess up when I perform, and I'd rather mess up and the movement I do look fun and easy and really own whatever I'm doing than get it right. Obviously, for some of us in certain performances, we can't do that. But for my performances, if I mess up and I do something different, I kind of just roll with it. And as long as I sell it and it feels good and I'm in the moment and I'm enjoying it, and the audience is going to enjoy it as well. But that's all to say, I practiced a lot to try to make it look easy for everyone. But side planks aren't easy, especially full straight arm side planks. These are not easy, but that work of pressing the floor away and thinking away from the floor, even just the thought of away from the floor is helpful to kind of move through the action. So we do our planks, we come out of we do our little thing, side plank, plank, side plank. We do a classic Pilates side bend lower. Bend your knees, bring your arms down. I kind of threw a little classical Pilates Easter egg in there. This is a fun way to get up and down in your planks. So keeping the arm lifted, you bend the knees, slowly lower down. And you can get up the same way. Launch yourself, lift up. So I lower out of my plank, and then somehow, it looks different every time. I've worked my way to my back, and I did 3 shoulder bridges. The first shoulder bridge I did was an articulated shoulder bridge. So I wanted to emphasize the spinal flexion and the articulation of my spine. So I brought my arms out to a T and not down by my side, because I wanted to make sure that I had kind of a backup stability in case, I got a little wonky or didn't feel like I was feeling perfectly balanced. So I wanted to make sure that it felt that I could stay stable, and I felt a lot more stable with the arms out. From here, I lifted my hips and then slowly roll down, upper back, middle back, lower back, tail. And same thing when I lift up. So it's this articulation, right? Lift up, lower back, middle back, upper back, tail. There's 2 different ways you can do bridges, and I did both variations in this performance. You have the version where you start with your pelvic tilt, lifting your pubic bone up to the ceiling, peeling the spine off like a sticker, and then articulating back down. Tailbone's the last thing to come down. You can also do shoulder bridges by just lifting up and down, finding your neutral spine position, and then maintaining that spinal line as you lift and lower. I like both types of shoulder bridges for different reasons. And I think it's good to do both. You shouldn't pick one and just do that. It's good to do throw your body a lot of different things. So if you do a lot of articulated shoulder bridges, try the less articulated shoulder bridge. If you only do the kind of board-esque shoulder bridges, try the articulated one. Mix it up. But I start with an articulated shoulder bridge, and then I do 2 pulses with just the flat back. Now from here, I get up, there is, I don't really have a name for this. It's kind of a rollover. It's kind of part rollover, part jackknife. I'll just demo it. So I took my right leg and I basically lift my legs to a jazz passe or a single leg stretch position from Pilates. From there, I lift my legs up and overhead. So it's kind of like a lower lift. You might have done these at the gym. I just kind of changed the leg position. With this, I take my legs over a lot more because I use that to roll all the way up to seated. The key to a movement like this is articulation. So thinking about that movement, you're essentially doing the bottom part of your shoulder bridge. So after we've gotten down to our waist, that articulation through, rolling bone by bone down. You want to find a lot of scoop in your center, in your abs, and then articulate through. So this is not just momentum. If I'm just using momentum, my spine is just smacking down. We want to find that deep scoop of the center, and that's going to allow us to articulate through our spine and create a runway for us to roll through to come up to seated. We do an exercise in Pilates called rolling like a ball. It's a very deceiving exercise. It looks like this. It doesn't look like we're doing much. But in order to have that runway to roll up and down, you need to find that deep C curve and that deep lift of your hips to create that runway to roll up. Same principle applies here. You scoop, lift your hips. So you want to think of lifting your hips up and over. And now I've got more of a runway. I control and articulate that up, land, and then take a side bend. I went through so many variations for how to get up. So many failures. I still have actually marks on my legs from practicing in the studio that I rented, from trying different things on the ground, trying to think of cool ways to get up and down. I still have marks on my legs. So I put in the blood, sweat, and tears for this performance. So we did our bridges, scoop lift, come all the way up, turn to the front, take a little side bend. Final section here. Oh wait, what am I saying? We should do another quiz question. Yes. We're in the final stretch. So, pop quiz. Which of the following is not part of Wii Fit's prop arsenal? So in Smash Brothers, she uses a lot of different things to attack fellow players. What doesn't she use? There's one thing in here that's not like the others. This was another thing that made me laugh when I played as her for the first time. I didn't look up her moveset or anything. I just I'm also really bad at Smash Brothers. It doesn't matter how much I practice. I'm just awful at it. It's, we're just not good at certain things. So, and Smash Brothers is not the thing that I'm good at. So, I was very surprised and was hysterical laughing as I kind of moved through her moveset in real time. And really enjoyed the different props that she used as part of her Wii Fitness. So, which thing in here is not something that she would use? It's something that I made up that I wish she used. Final call. Like I said, I don't have prizes, but maybe one day I'll have prizes. One of these things is not like the other. What doesn't Wii Fit Trainer use? In 3, 2, and 1. The answer is C, boxing gloves. That would be cool. I would like to see a boxing Wii Fit Trainer, because I was thinking about it before. Because Hatsune Miku's got a boxing game. Wii Fit Trainer should have a boxing game. I think that would be super fun, and I would totally play that game. I also love Ring Fit Adventure. I've not forgotten about my girl from Ring Fit. I will be doing a cosplay of that eventually, and I've thought about doing a Ring Fit Adventure playthrough on this channel. I don't know if that's interesting or not, but let me know what you think, if that's something you would want to see. So yes, she will hula hoop you to death, she will soccer ball you to death, but she won't boxing glove you to death, sadly. Maybe one of these days. I should propose that to Nintendo. I mean, they put Sora in Kingdom Hearts, so Sora in Smash, so maybe they'll add some Wii Fit for us. I'm super curious who they're going to add next. I said this before, but I don't think anything's going to top Sora. So that was so huge for so many people. Oh man. Now I'm thinking about Kingdom Hearts 4. No, we don't have time for this. We don't have the mental capacity for this right now. Let's move on to the home stretch of the choreography. So, we're back on the floor again. We take a little side bend over and stretch. Now, in general, when you do this stretch, there's a couple of different ways to do it. I call it the classic gym class stretch. You can target your hamstrings, the back of your leg hamstrings, by folding over the leg, like so. I personally really like to take the opposite hand to the leg, so I have my right leg long, taking my left hand, bringing it to the outside of my right foot, and then folding over. And what I like about this variation is that I get a little extra stretch from the twist. So I'm kind of squaring my shoulders off, or even adding a little extra twist here, and I can access more of that side in a different way. And then from here, you can just drop your head and let it feel good. You can also just fold over. You can also play with round back versus flat back. So having, for example, rounding the spine, forehead towards your knee, or taking a flat back over, so a hinge over like so. So I have no roundness in my spine. You can also play with pointing and flexing the foot. That also changes the quality of this exercise. Pointing your foot versus flexing your foot. So there's a lot of different ways you can play with this. The other way is turning it into a side bend. So instead of squaring the torso off towards your leg, you open it out to the side and find a side bend over. Keeping the arm straight, you can maybe find the foot and deepen your side bend, or you can just reach towards the foot. Whatever feels good. For me, I can reach the foot, but you see how my rib cage and my shoulder gets a little out of whack? So I want to focus on keeping that side nice and open, and that deepens my stretch a little more. This is the prep to a full straddle. So you can go back and forth on both sides, which is also a Wii Fit trainer exercise, stretch movement. When she says, let's stretch those legs. She's doing this. You can also do this in the game. I think it's a taunt, which is really funny. I would be afraid. And then obviously you can add on, challenge your stretch a little bit. But we come out of our little rolling pike position into our side bend. Now from here we move into a classic Wii Fit trainer pose, gate pose. This top arm comes up and around to the floor. This right hand comes behind your head. You press up into your gate pose. Now, gate pose position, knee under hip, top leg is long. You want to find, I like to call this the action hero position because it feels like I'm in like a Spider-Man movie or something. I call this action hero position. That's not what it's called, but it's called gate in yoga. Long side body. Your whole foot is down and your toes are square to the long edge of the mat. So they're not turned out, they're turned in. And then in kind of classic Pilates fashion, I bring my hand behind my head. Gate pose. Gate pose is actually the reverse. So this is a yoga gate pose. This is like a side plank prep. And then this is the prep for kneeling side kicks in Pilates. So this is a good position because you can kind of flow through a bunch of different exercises. So if you want to get a quick workout in and you're short on time, finding a position like this where you can flow through different planes of motion and different exercises is really fun. Because you can do your gate pose, you could go into your side plank, you can lift the leg up, you can do your leg lifts for side kicks. There's a lot of different flow opportunities from that position. But nonetheless, come out of this position, right away lifting up. So when I did this performance, my positioning wasn't perfect. I did practice it to make sure that my technique was really good, but you know, things happen. The most important thing that I thought about when I was moving through this is making sure that my head was positioned correctly. It's easy to want to look down at the arm or do weird tuck the chin. You want to press the head back into your hands and feel the back of your neck grow longer. And that's a good position. It's also a little bit more supported. From here, we move into a bird dog variation. Turn the body, turn the leg, reach the arm and leg long. All the while, this is a harder version because you're trying to stay square but also be lifted. Is that what I did? Yeah. Oh no, I did bird dog. That's what I did. I'm lied. I came through here, brought this arm down, switched to bird dog. So bird dog variation, great core exercise, great posterior chain exercise. I used it as a transition move for my dancercise. Keep this long line, brought my hand down, and then I did some modified push-ups with this leg. So bending down, keeping the leg lifted, and then coming back up. Using this leg as a lever, you get a little extra length and a little more stability. So as I bend my arms and lower, I'm reaching this leg long away like it's going to pop out of my socket. And for my push-up for this, it wasn't a full tricep push-up. It was kind of a chest push-up. And when you do a chest push-up, you want to think of your arms less like a T and more like an arrow. So when I bend at my elbows, they're a little more narrow than here. This is a better position for the back and the shoulders. So I came up into my gate side plank action hero pose, into my bird dog, down into my push-up, lift up. Now from here, I scoop my core, bend my leg into a lunge, pop up, show your biceps because I'm performing. Then from here, hands come behind the head, a little stability challenge. Tuck the toe under, you lift up and twist to the other side. And then I came through center and did a warrior two to finish because I am We Fit trainer. And that's the whole performance. So with that, I was trying to incorporate a lot of different types of movement that meant something to me as a Pilates teacher, that also referenced We Fit trainer's moveset, and then also just, looked good on the stage. So we're going to start at the beginning. We're going to go through it slow. We'll go through it slow 2 or 3 more times, and then we'll close out for the night. So yeah, let's do it. So we start at the beginning, a very good place to start. I'm going to not use my mat for a moment. So at the beginning, hands come to the chest. We do our little Pilates grand plie. Lift the heels, keeping the spine lifted, lower down. Hands come in between your legs. Shoot your legs back, find an upward facing dog with the toes tucked. Press the floor away, lift the abs, come into your full plank position. 3 mountain climbers, scoop, bring the thighs to chest. And 2. And 3, bring the leg back, press back, find a down dog. Stretch the shoulders. Now from here, lift up on your heels a little more, bend the knees, hop them in. Outside of your legs, lift up burpee. Hold at the bottom, little squat pulses. 1, 2. From here, turn, curtsy lunge. From here, full lunge. And then warrior 2. Now from here, we turn, find a lunge. Hold here, squeeze the glute. Now launch off of that back leg airplane. Turn, nice and controlled, tree. Find your side bend. Now from here, circle the arms down into your lunge position. Reverse triangle. Revolve triangle, that's what I meant. Now from here, bent leg comes back, side plank. Full plank, side plank. Bend your knees in. I'm gonna come to my mat, lower on down. Arms come out to a T, shoulder bridge, lift, articulate down. 2 times without articulation. 1, 2. Lower lift, little pike. Roll up, press into your arms a little bit. Turn, take your side bend. Lift up. Bird dog. Push up. Find your lunge. Show off your guns. Come up, twist. Show off your guns. And that's it. Let's try it. We're going to go through it one more time. I'm going to move through it a little faster. And then we'll have, I think I have one more quiz question, and then we'll close out. All right, here we go. I'll use my mat this time. Here we go. High heels on my tippies. Coming through center. Lower down, nice and lifted. Hands come down, plank. Upward dog, plank. 3 mountain climbers. Down dog. Burpee, legs come in. Jump, lower with control. 2 pulses in your squat. Turn, curtsy lunge. Regular lunge. Warrior 2. Turn, find your lunge, hold. Launch off that back leg. Airplane. Tree. Side bend. Circle the arms down into your lunge. Revolve triangle. Revolve triangle. Now press the floor away. Side plank. Plank. Side plank. Bend the knees lower down. Arms come out to a T bridge. Lower down. And lift. And lift. Little pike. Roll up. Side bend. Boop. We lift up. Bird dog. Push up. Lunge. Show the guns. Lift up. Show the guns. Boop. And we're done. Yay. All right. That wasn't madness enough. Grand finale quiz question. What is the name of We Fit Trainer's Final Smash? What is We Fit Trainer's Final Smash name? Yoga Flow, We Fit, or Fire Flow? I think I accidentally, I made that a weird GIF, so that was my bad. These were all the quiz questions. It's kind of funny this is happening now. It's like the greatest hits. But I am looking for what is the name of We Fit Trainer's Final Smash. I was also surprised by this. I did not remember this, and I was a little surprised by it. It's not what you think it is. The correct answer is We Fit. The name of her final smash is We Fit. Very underwhelming, but what do you do? I can think of if my fake answers I felt like better encompassed her cool final smash at the end, but whatever, it's called We Fit. And speaking of We Fit, that concludes our We Fit excursion here. I hope you enjoyed this. It's a little different. It's a lot of me talking and kind of walking through things and talking about different techniques and thoughts. It's a little different from a normal fitness class that I have on my channel. Let me know what you think. I'm trying some things. We like to experiment here. So let me know what you think. If you are curious about CosPilates and other fun excursions that I do, you can follow me on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Move with Sarah. Move W Sarah with an H. I post any schedule changes or any upcoming themes for CosPilates on my Instagram and TikTok. So I encourage you to follow me there. I'm trying to work on affiliate status here so I can get a little more customization options for my channel. So if you can help me out and join me for some movement, join me for some Pilates every week, that would be super cool and I would love to have you. Schedule. We do every Sunday at 10 a.m. EST, we do a mat class. It's just an open classical Pilates mat class. I drink coffee and teach Pilates, and sometimes I answer my door if someone knocks on the door, but hopefully that won't happen anymore. And then once a month we do CosPilates, which is the themed class, which was this. So this is our monthly CosPilates. Normally I do it the third week of the month, but I'm in grad school and my life's gonna get even crazier in the next few weeks, and I'm not gonna be able to do it in my normal third week of the month. So hopefully we'll return to form, no pun intended, in May and return CosPilates to the third week of the month. I'm also taking requests for CosPilates. What character do you want to see? Do you want trivia? Do we want to try cool lights? Do we want more demos of different Pilates things? Let me know. What do you want to see for CosPilates? You can always put a comment on one of my videos or my Instagram posts or my TikToks. Let me know. I want to hear from you because I want to do what you would like to see. So thank you again for joining me. I hope this was kind of fun. Anime Boston was incredible. I had so much fun portraying Wii Fit Trainer. I look forward to portraying her more in the future. And I hope you had fun today. And I hope to see you soon on the mat. Thanks for being here. Bye.